Well, I thought the iPhone XS Max was the phone that I was going to keep all year, but I sold it. Hey there, friends on YouTube. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest. It hurts. Thanks so much for being here. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. If you've not been here before, then please come back again. That would be awesome. That's right. I sold my XS Max. I sold my Note 9. I sold, everything that I've purchased in 2018 except for one phone. What phone is it? The iPhone XR. Yes, I know. I gave this phone a ton of crap in the months before it was released. I called it a peasant phone. I called it a Skittles phone. I called it all kinds of stuff, all in good fun. It was all in good fun. I really was dismayed that Apple had decided to release, what was on paper a low-end model phone. But in reality, I found that the differences between this phone and the differences between the XS Max were so minute that it was just not worth the extra $450 I spent on the 256GB XS Max. Let's run through the features that this doesn't have compared to the XS Max. Now, the biggest one is probably the fact that it doesn't have an OLED screen, and the XS Max does. I have found that this screen, even though it's an LCD, even though it has lower resolution on paper, I have found this screen to be really nice. I really enjoy this screen. In fact, I put it up against my XS Max when I did my XR review, and while I could see differences, the OLED screen was a little more poppy. It had a little bit more detail. There was no way that you would ever look at this and be like, oh, that's a totally crap screen. I mean, I had the Pixel 3 XL, and comparing the Pixel 3 XL to this screen, the Pixel 3 XL screen was not very good. And so Apple has worked some kind of magic with this screen. I don't know what it is. Liquid retina, I guess. But be that as it may, it's a good screen. Better than I thought it would be. I'm eating crow. Nom, 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 nom. Satisfied? The second big area where this is different than the XS Max is in the camera. As you see, there's only really one camera lens right there. And it doesn't have the telephoto lens that the XS Max does. But in using this camera and using the XS Max and the Note 9 and the Pixel 3 XL, I found that there's really just a hair's breadth of difference between all of those phones. It's come down to personal preference. Do you like it a little bit more punchy? Do you like it a little bit more cold? Do you like it warm? Like the three little bears of smartphone cameras. My porridge is, I don't know. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. This camera, it's just really good. And it does the portrait mode, although you can't use the portrait mode on anything but humans. It says no human in the picture. So you can't do portrait mode of your dog. You can't do portrait mode of your frog. You can't do portrait mode of a tree or a bee or any of those kinds of things. You can't do portrait mode on this with those. But the portrait mode that's on here has the same features as being able to sort of mess with the f-stop and all kinds of those things to get more depth or less. So it's very, very good. And I found no real place where I needed the features of the XS Max over the XR. When it comes to the rest of the differences, the 1 GB less of RAM, all that kind of stuff, I bounced back and forth between this phone and the XS Max for the whole time that I had it, and found that there was no real noticeable difference in everyday usage that I could find at all. Apple's software is so well optimized that it doesn't matter if it has 3 gigs of RAM or 4, and I know you Android warriors out there are saying oh, well, it's got to have 6 or it's got to have 8, but this phone does not, okay? That's just how it works. You're going to have to get over it. I found that the build, I was a little worried the build would feel janky, but this aluminum is the same aluminum that we've had on the sides of the phones since way back, since we started with the 6, although this is the 7000 grade aluminum that doesn't bend as easily. It still feels premium to the touch. I very much enjoy this phone in my hand. Speaking of which, I found that this is a 6.1-inch screen. It feels like maybe the aspect ratio, just by looking at it, is slightly different. It feels a little wider than the XS Max, but that just could be me. I found that I like holding this phone better. It feels better, as they say, in the hand. Ladies, you know the procedures. I was really afraid that this was going to be the iPhone 5C Mark II. I liked the 5C. I got one when it came out just to fool around with it for a while, and I really did like it. But the success or lack thereof for the 5C didn't bode well for another batch of colored phones. However, this product red is so good looking. It's basically the same product red as the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus product red version last year. It's deep, it's rich. I think it comes off looking a little more orange on the screen than it does when I'm looking at it here in the real world. But it's very, very nice. All the colors are nice. So when the XR was announced, I was afraid that what Apple had done is they had moved their flagship phones into the plus $1,000 spot and opened up a gap where they could stick a lesser phone and actually charge what seemed like too much money. But now that I've used this phone, now that I see the differences between, or lack thereof, the XS and the XS Max and the iPhone XR, I happen to believe at this point that the XR is actually Apple's flagship phone this year. This is the phone that most people are going to buy. In fact, maybe Apple delayed the release of this so they could sell some XS and XS Max phones before this guy came out. Now, this is a total 180 from everything that I said before, and I know that. I didn't have to make this video and tell you that I was keeping this thing. I could have just kept it and you wouldn't know. But I did. This phone is in the running for best phone of the year for me. It just works so well. It differentiates itself with all the different colors. It feels great in the hand. It's fast. The camera looks great. Everything about it looks great. And battery life, the final thing I want to discuss, battery life. The third day that I had this phone, I took it off the charger at 7 a.m. and I went to bed at 12 a.m. I still had a little bit more than half the battery left, so I thought, I'm not going to charge it. I'm going to see what happens. And lo and behold, I woke up the next morning at 7 o'clock again and went through the whole day, bed at midnight again, and I made it all the way through. I made it through 2 days of normal use with this phone. The XR battery is one of the best batteries, if not the best battery in terms of battery life that I've come across in my time working with smartphones. The XR is the phone that I'm keeping. The XS Max, well, it went to another home where I know it's going to be loved. And I'll be eating my helping of crow this evening. I think I might have it in a nice stew. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about that. Be brutal in the comments if you want, because, I've changed my mind again. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. If this is your first time here and you want to come back, you can subscribe. You can bell notify yourself if you like the video. You could like the video. You could share the video out to your social medias if you think other people might want to see this. If you've been here before, then you know that I love you. You know that I do. If you're interested in what I use to make these videos, if you're interested in my novel or the music that I've made or anything like that, links are down in the description below. You can check them out at your leisure. Any kind of support that you provide to the channel, whether it's just watching videos, buying something, etc., etc., all of it is very much appreciated. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. So honest it hurts. Until the next time, I'm out!